Are moving over to the flyweight division now. We got Charles Johnson coming in at minus 205, stepping in for Loney Kavanaugh. If you guys remember, Kavanaugh obviously took that short notice spot against Brandon Moreno a few weeks back. And now Charles Johnson takes on Bruno Silva, who comes in at plus 175. Now, Johnson is looking to shake off that knockout loss that he suffered back in January at the hands of Alex Perez. A fight where I did pick Perez to win, but even I was kind of surprised that he landed those big shots to try to get Johnson out, or to get Johnson out of there. You know, I thought he would land some big shots, but I didn't really necessarily see him rocking and finishing Johnson the way that he did. But obviously, backing Perez the way that I was that night, I'm happy with it. So I'm not going to, cry about it or anything like that. But Johnson, usually very tough to put away. A guy that's very hard to knock out. A guy that's very hard to hit cleanly because of his just, long, rangy style. With his 70-inch reach in this matchup specifically, he'll have a 4-inch reach advantage. But he often has that reach advantage to help him keep opponents at way. He sticks and moves well, has a good and educated Muay Thai striking game. His defensive grappling is very much up there, especially in recent fights. He doesn't spend long on his back. Like even the Kavanaugh fight where Kavanaugh switched to his grappling game in the second round, Johnson was not giving up a lot of top time. Anytime he would get taken down, he would just either scoot his butt back to the cage and work right back to his feet, or create a scramble right away and work back to his feet. So I love that about him. He does not accept bad positions. Now it's just about getting on the gas in terms of his output and his volume. I thought the winning streak that we saw him go on after nearly getting cut from the UFC was tremendous, especially when you consider that it includes a knockout win over eventual and current UFC flyweight champion Joshua Van. And even that knockout win over Loney Kavanaugh, which was the first loss in Kavanaugh's career, it shows that Johnson can be one of the best flyweights on the planet on any given night. And I think that potential and knowing that always makes him a guy that should go out there and win most of his fights. He's also 35 years old, so that is something to keep in mind. But he hasn't really shown much in terms of slowing down. He got clipped. He got caught by Perez. I'm willing to chalk that up to being more so of an anomaly more than anything. But if he starts to rack up knockout losses, though, then we have to have a different discussion. But as of right now, I think that was more of a off-the-radar type of thing that happened. Now, he's going up against Bruno Silva, who pulled off an upset victory over Hyun Sung Park last time around. That allowed him to snap a 2-fight losing streak. Both of those losses coming to Manel Kape by third-round knockout, and then Joshua Van by third-round knockout. Both those fights where he got pieced up in the striking game for the majority of 10 plus minutes and then eventually got those mercy stoppages in the third round. But against Hyun Sung Park, he was the one landing big shots, dropped Park 1 or 2 times, but then had some great work on the ground where he eventually opened up that submission in the third round. And I was very surprised about that. I thought Park's defensive grappling would have held up. I thought he would have been the better striker, but it seemed that Silva was the one, better equipped and more prepared for that fight. Hence why he ended up landing those big shots and really just washing Park that night, right? I think Silva was a plus 185 dog that night as well. So very surprising performance there. He's also getting up there in age, so it's good to see that he's being more active as of late. He wasn't as active earlier on in his UFC career, but he's been really getting things together and staying more active. Initially known for his BJJ, he's developed a reliable striking game, good calf kicks as well when he can implement that, good combinations, deceiving power, as Hyun Sung Park also found out. So very well-rounded, very experienced as well. But this is a tough matchup for him against Charles Johnson. Charles, definitely the better striker. I'd say Silva maybe has an edge in terms of power. Silva probably the better pure grappler, but I think that the way Johnson defends, I'd be surprised if Silva is able to rack up a bunch of control time. And I expect this fight to primarily play out in the striking game. So you have to take into consideration the calf kicks of Silva. I think Johnson will have the perfect defense for that and counter for that. And then power, I think Johnson should be able to stay away from that power. I think he picks Bruno Silva apart. If Silva gets him down, I think we see Johnson work right back to his feet, and then I think we see Johnson really piece him up. I'd kind of be surprised if he finishes Silva, so I'm going to go Johnson and Johnson by decision, and I think he makes it look fairly one-sided, especially if he can keep this mostly in the striking game.